Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. It is Wednesday. It is noon Central Time. That means it is time for DOT compliance with your DOT guy, Brian Riker. Mic check 1, 2, 3. You can hear me okay. You can see me okay. Great. What we're going to do again on a Wednesday is we're going to be live for 30 minutes with Brian. He has a company, Fleet Compliance Solutions LLC, where he helps folks navigate DOT, FMCSA, and regulations, IFTA, IRP, understanding your weight rating of your trailer, etc. CDL questions, get a lot of those questions too. So do this. You can jump in the live chat, post a question. David Two Bears is here. What's going on, David? And yeah, so you can do that. Also, here's what you can do. We're going to be live for 30 minutes. Right below, you can click share, click copy, grab that YouTube link, text it, email it, share it on social media, send it to a friend. Maybe you're a family member. Maybe you are new to the business. Maybe you've been watching videos that you think you could just put your pickup truck to work. Find out if that is real. Also, go to autotransportintel.com, click on sign up, become an ATI insider, and learn how we can help you. Let us know how we can do that. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to bring Brian in here. We're going to start taking questions. We've got different segments. So let's get started. Brian, can you see me and hear me okay?
Absolutely not. You're just a blobbing head on the screen.
Just yapping away.
Good morning, Jay.
Good morning. And so, all right, it's November 2021. What is happening in the world of Brian Riker?
I'm getting ready for the largest towing industry trade show of the year and our return to Baltimore, Maryland with the American Towman Exposition. It is our 31st year doing that show. I have been involved with it since 1992. I'm starting to date myself here, where I'll be presenting a couple of seminars on insurance and regulatory compliance. We'll be honoring some fallen tow operators and some other heroes, everyday heroes. Your DOT guy, Brian Riker, is getting ready to launch another show that we'll have some more information on for you in about 2 weeks. But I will have a Saturday podcast wherever podcasts are available. And right now, I'm heading up to Minnesota this week. I'm still active as a truck driver, as you can tell from my background. I'm going to head up to Minnesota and then fly on back to Pennsylvania so I can be down in Baltimore all of next week.
So you're driving, you're communicating, you're sharing information, you're delivering vehicles. That's great, man. What a great combination.
Oh, yes. It allows me to stay in touch with what you all out there are facing, because I'm not just reading from the rule book. I still do this. I just did a cross-country trip last week out to Wyoming from Pennsylvania. So I still do this on a semi-monthly basis. When I'm not doing this, I'm preparing arguments for data queue challenges, helping new companies get their authority, changing addresses, doing your BOC-3, your process agent filing, or just answering questions from the listener comment line on air at YourDOTGuy.com. And I'm happy to try to help. I know I've got a couple folks that emailed me late last night. I promise I will get back to you sometime today. It's been a busy morning, but I have a couple people in queue in the email that I will get to today.
And so that means what he's inviting you to do is go ahead. If you've got a question, you can put it in the live chat if you're with us live. If you're on demand, put it in the YouTube comments down below. I'll make sure he sees that. I'll tap Brian on the shoulder. Or you can also email Brian on air at yourdotguy.com. Send him an email, and he will get to you when he gets a chance. He's a busy guy, and that's why we're lucky that Brian is here with us today.
And so, that's why you're the producer, because I forgot all about the YouTube portion of this. I'm so focused on the podcast side.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, and that is actually, but that's a good idea, because being focused on the podcast continues to grow. And I put the link if you're not on the podcast, you don't have to be. I mean, just watch the shows on YouTube. But it's an easy way to consume, absorb the content while you're busy on the go. Keep your mind busy. Keep your mind off of, whatever is bothering you. Just listen to the podcast, and I do that. Do you do that?
Yes, I do. I listen to 2 or 3 hours of podcast in the morning before the sun comes up if I'm on one of these driving trips. It's better than music when it's dark out. It helps me stay alert and focused, and it's a way that I digest the information and see what's going on in the world so that I can break it down for everybody among our ecosystem and our audience.
It's interesting. I do. I sometimes get tired of listening to the radio station again or whatever, and I'll listen to a podcast. And this is not an infomercial for podcasting. We're just talking, and we're just saying this. It's something we do, and I do. I learn a lot from absorbing other content. So
absolutely.
Having said that, let's do this. I'm going to share the screen. We're going to go through. We have our normal routine here. We always start with, we bet you can't stump Brian, your DOT guy. Okay, so what you want to do is come up with your stumper, put it in the live chat, put it in the YouTube comments. What we mean by a stumper is an actual tough question in DOT FMCSA land. There is so much. Clearinghouse, CDL, IRP, IFTA. By the way, Brian, you had you wanted to say something. This was shows ago about New York, HUT, UCR.
Yes, thank you, Jay, for reminding me. Thank you. New York highway use tax, New York HUT. The little orange or yellow or blue or purple sticker that's on the front bumper or fender of your truck. If you travel into or through New York State and you have a vehicle with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 18,000 pounds or a tractor with a weight rating greater than 8,000 pounds, and I don't know why they picked and have these arbitrary weight limits. Basically, if you have a commercial vehicle and you're going into the state of New York, you must comply with their highway use tax filing requirements. And New York is unique in that they have a decal that you have to have on your vehicle, and the decal renews every 3 years, but you have to file the tax every quarter. A lot of folks get the decal and then they forget about ordering their new one. It's open enrollment period right now to order your new decals that must be displayed by the beginning of next year, January 1st, or you could face penalties. They have a little bit of a grace period, but I don't count on New York showing grace to anybody. So make sure if you're traveling into or through New York, or you plan on going into or through New York, that you get your highway use tax account current. And that can be done online for free by yourself by visiting New York Oscar, oscar.ny.gov. That is your one-stop credentialing website that is run by the state of New York. Oscar is where you'll do your highway use tax. I believe you can do your apportioned registration and your IFTA tax through that website as well.
Okay, what I did was I just pulled up that link and double checking this. Could it be oscar.ny.gov and then some slashes?
There we go. I probably got those transposed.
Good. Yep.
I do the most of this off the top of my head.
Well, you have so much up there. I mean, if I can offer any help, I'm happy to do so. Okay, so one-stop credentialing and registration is there.
Yep.
And so
that's what the acronym stands for.
Right, there you go. OSCAR. Ooh, what a great anagram. We'll put that in the great anagrams list. And thank you for that, Brian. That's awesome. Okay, so we got a couple here. We're going to talk about the dispatching in a second. Leanna has a question. We're in Baltimore. Is it open to the public?
Yes, it is open to the public. The show has a soft opening this Thursday evening, next Thursday evening, I'm sorry, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's at the Baltimore Convention Center. If you go online and pre-register, there's no admission fee whatsoever. If you register on site, there's a $5 registration fee to get into the show floor. If you want to come to one of the 35 educational seminars we have, you can buy a carte blanche seminar passport that gives you access to as many of the speakers as you can digest, with a few exceptions on some of the 16-hour hands-on classes. And I believe that is 125 pre-register, 150 on site, but I may be wrong. Jay, you can find it. The web resource will be Exposition.com, or you can go to towindustryweek.com, and on the left-hand side of the screen, about halfway down, there's a link to the Baltimore show.
Right, and I think I just found it. So atexposition.com, that's the Baltimore Tow Show, is that right?
Yes. Yes, and it's not just for tow truck operators. In fact, the Independent Auto Transporter Alliance will have a booth there. They are a car haul trade group. There will be insurance companies there that write car haul insurance and general freight insurance. There will be seminars on insurance that is not just focused on the towing industry. I'm presenting a seminar on motor carrier compliance that is focused on towing, but a lot of the rules, most of the rules, are the same for everyone from a hot shot to a full tractor trailer. There is equipment on the floor. In years past, I don't know if they're an exhibitor this year, but in years past, Sun Country has exhibited with some of their trailers. It isn't just for towing. There's plenty of suppliers there too. If you need to get straps, height sticks, tie down bars, you can walk in with your credit card and walk out with all the stuff you can carry. Pretty much anything you need to transport a car will be on the show floor next week.
Cool. And I put IATA.biz in the live chat. That's the independent
Auto Transporter Alliance.
Independent Auto Transporters Alliance. Yes.
You'll be able to meet John Larrick. You'll be able to meet Ziggy Keller. You'll be able to meet Derek Hopkins. They will be there working the booth, taking turns this coming week.
Awesome. Do me a favor.
Be able to meet me live in person.
Will you do me a favor and please say hello to all of them for me?
I will.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, because John Larrick, he's been in the live chat several times. And been on the show. Ziggy, glad to hear. I mean, so how's Ziggy doing?
He's holding in there. We know he has some health issues with the cancer. He's open about that on Facebook, but he's fighting back and holding his own. And he plans on being there next week. And yeah, I will say hi to all three of those guys. They're all personal friends of mine. Ziggy and John are also customers of mine. So just for those of you out here in the show, I work with one truck owner operators. I work with large fleets as well.
And Derek, I don't think I've talked to Derek in quite a while. What's the name of Derek's company again?
Fine Line Transportation.
Fine Line Transportation. Boy, he's going to give me knuckles for that one. What do you mean you don't remember?
Derek's a good dude, and through the dealership I work with, I deliver a lot of Derek's brand new trucks up to him from Cottrell as well. I'm one of the few drivers that gets that privilege of moving all those fancy trucks that he buys.
Ty's got a great question. Can we get Brian to do a live on location? You know, that's not a bad idea. I don't know if it's possible, though.
I will see. The show doesn't open till Thursday, so we'd have to do it Thursday or Friday. My Wednesday show next week, if we have it, but I think you're in Vegas next week, aren't you?
So actually, I'm still here. Ty will be in California.
Okay.
But you won't be at the show next Wednesday.
I will physically be there next Wednesday loading in display trucks in the morning.
Ooh.
We could do something, maybe with the show floor being built in the background as the backdrop. We could do something at our normal noon time slot, Central Time, next Wednesday from the show floor, providing I can get a stable enough signal down there.
And Ty says Friday with Cars on the Move. So
I can make Friday work for him. I got to double check my exact schedule, but his Cars on the Move is noon Central as well, right?
Yeah.
That's 1 Eastern. I probably can make a 15 or 20-minute appearance on his show next Friday.
Next Friday, that would
And
be
actually, the show
12th.
floor will be open at that time too, so that'll be perfect.
Aha! Wait, did you hear that, Ty? He said it's perfect. Okay, so Cars on the Move with Brian. That's November 12th. Okay.
Correct.
It's in the books. It's on a piece of paper. It's on a notepad. That means it's official. Okay, that's awesome. That is super exciting. And actually, you know what's really interesting? Just this morning, somebody asked me how involved we are in the tow industry. Isn't that ironic?
They're sister industries. In fact, a lot of our transporters that move in ops either use tow trucks, flatbeds, 4-car carriers, or they hire them regularly to help them with the in-op vehicles. So they're sister industries. They really are.
Well, all right. Cool, man. All right, let's do this. Let's share the screen. We've got, what do we got? Oh, we got 15 minutes left. I think we can do this. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so we love how we doing. What we really love about it is that we're helping. I mean, you know, nobody wants to be the next flip of the week. And the problem is, nobody thinks they're going to be the next flip of the week. Well, somebody is. Somebody's going to. The hand of fate will strike, and somebody will be the flip of the week. Speaking of, before we get to that picture, hey, what's going on here? Somebody said, is this bad trailer design or bad error operator thingy?
Yes. I'm very familiar with that particular trailer design and those bat wings. Now, that style bat wing, we don't have that many problems with. The older metal ones that were cut at a 45-degree angle, they had a problem of bouncing up and getting caught if you turned the trailer too tight. I hate to admit it, I've actually crunched one myself in my career. Only one. I learned the first time. So what we have here is either a driver that turned a corner a little too tight, or perhaps turned the corner a little too tight when the tractor and trailer were not on a even plane. And so the nose of the trailer dug down into the bat wing, which is a slang term for the rock guard, the chip guard that keeps the stones from the back of the tractor coming up and pelting the front bumper of the car loaded on the front of the trailer. Stinger steer car haulers are a whole different animal than anything that you may have driven before, because the clearances are so tight, whether it's between the cars on the truck or even here. You cannot turn this truck better than, say, 55, 60 degrees. It's not like a traditional tractor trailer that you can turn a full 90 degrees. And if you forget that, or you misjudge a turn a little bit, or if you're not accounting for the way the truck and trailer pivot when you're going up a hill, down a hill, in a dip, stuff like this can happen. Fortunately, they're a easy to replace and fairly inexpensive part. That's a couple $100 worth of damage and 20 minutes to change.
Okay, perfect. How about this one? What do you think happened here?
Well, we got some cars that are rolled over and being loaded up by a rollback on the side. That wedge is hooked up to a tow truck there. I'm going to say somebody either jackknifed and had a car fall off, a truck rolled onto them, or they just rolled their truck in traffic somewhere. It's kind of hard to say with one limited picture, but the way that trailer's busted up and the rolled over crushed vehicle that's being loaded next to it, for those of you in podcast land, we've got a wedge trailer hooked to a medium duty tow truck, and we've got some sort of crushed down vehicle being loaded up onto a rollback or a flatbed tow truck. And there's yet another tow truck you can see just up in the distance, which is probably recovering the rest of this pickup truck or the rest of the load of cars. It looks like somebody rolled their truck and had a car fall off.
All right. Okay, let's move on to, will you start a trucking company with me?
No.
All right, here we go. In this vein of thought, truckers give fleets ideas on how to fix the turnover problem. Now, this is mainly freight stuff here, because you see detention time and whatnot. But
a lot of that still applies here.
All right, there you go. Take it away.
this is interesting because every year the Owner Operator Independent Driver Association, in partnership with the American Trucking Association, it's one of the only times they work together, the OOIDA Foundation and ATA's research arm, who does an excellent job with presenting just the facts without any bias on it. Both of those organizations do. They survey drivers and they survey motor carriers to get their problems that they see facing the industry. And right here, this list we have with driver shortage and driver retention, those are what the carriers are seeing as problems, where the drivers see things like detention time, dealing with ELDs, lack of truck parking, safe, quiet places. Either way, all of these items need to be addressed if we're going to have an effective and an efficient transportation system. I don't care whether we're hauling cars, delivering groceries, or hauling waste to a landfill somewhere. Every job in transportation is critical to our country's survival, our country's prosperity, and the life that we've all become accustomed to. I don't want to go back to pooping in an outhouse somewhere and shooting the deer in my backyard just to have dinner. I like going to the grocery store and buying a roll of toilet paper and some already processed beef off of the counter and taking it home and cooking it with electricity and having oil heat. So we need to address these supply chain or these transportation issues. And unfortunately, driver pay is probably the top of the list because our current wages as an employee driver, if you adjust them for inflation, are lower than what we would have earned back in 1979. Heck, without even adjusting them, it's lower than what the truck drivers were earning before deregulation in the 80s, when you didn't have this low barrier to entry and trucking companies had to compete on service because the rates were all fixed by the government. So they took care of their drivers so that their drivers took care of their customers. We don't have that anymore. We have a race to the bottom currently, and I don't know how to fix it, but we need to fix it.
Yeah. Well then,
I got a little off track on that. I'm sorry.
Well, no, you did a good job, because that's the thing is that I like how this sentence here. Instead of addressing the issues on the driver's list, large fleets would rather find a new crop of teenagers who are unaware of all the inequities. I mean, that is really interesting.
Yes. Now that particular statement is a dig at the push to allow under 21-year-olds to engage in interstate commerce, which I'm a supporter of, but I'm in the minority there. But I'm a supporter of it with strict restrictions, and it doesn't fit every person under the age of 21, nor does it fit every trucking company. But what that statement should say, and what is factually correct, is a lot of these large trucking companies would rather spend the $15,000 a year or driver it costs them to build a new driver than put that $15,000 or $20,000 into wages or better home time to allow them to retain the current drivers they have. And to me as a businessman, that makes no sense, because my damage claims go up, my little accidents go up, my frustration between the driver and dispatcher go up when I hire a brand new person. That brand new person takes weeks to get up to speed and learn the customers and learn the system. Just about the time that they're actually getting the peak of their efficiency, they jump ship and go to work for someone that's got a different color truck because they were promised 2 cents a mile more or 1% more on the gross of the load, and they think that the world's going to be better, when really it's the same crap, just a different color truck. And until we as businessmen and women, and there are a few out there that have done this, learn to treat our help properly, learn to price our stuff effectively, and say no to what doesn't work for us and our employees, we're going to have this constant churn in the industry. And unfortunately, it's starting to affect the auto transport world as well. We used to be similar to the less than truckload freight guys that had 8 to 10% turnover and top wages. Not so much anymore. And we need to get back to where we are retaining the cream of the crop. because this job is not getting any easier as vehicles get more complicated, get heavier, the rules get tougher on being a truck driver. We need to do something to attract the next generation into here, or we're going to have that self-fulfilling prophecy where the autonomous vehicles drive themselves right to the customer's house and cut the trucker out of the middle.
Well, speaking of cutting the trucker out of the middle, and also, you heard it here first, same crap, different truck, is that, on the pay, on the inequity of the pay, right? This is where, we hear middlemen and we hear brokers, but what we're really chomping at the bit to talk about, B Logistics, is ringing the super chat cowbell. Thank you so much, B Logistics. Really wants to talk about this dispatching illegal idea, and is it fear-mongering from freight brokers saying that dispatching is illegal? Where are we on this?
Part of it is fear-mongering. Part of it is true. So it's going to depend. There are, contrary to popular belief, there are legitimate dispatchers, and I'll take a lot of hate mail from this. One of my dear friends in this industry, we're on complete opposite sides of this issue, but there are legitimate dispatch services. Then there are dispatch services that are really brokers masquerading as a dispatcher, and those are the ones that are causing the problems in the industry because they have nobody to hold them accountable. They can book a lot of work, dump it on some drivers, not pay the driver, disappear, change their company name. You don't even have the bond to file on to get pennies on the dollar that at least you do if a broker goes bad. So the answer is it depends on how they run their business and what they do. If they're promising you to find you work from their own sources, then they are not a dispatcher. They are a broker, plain and simple. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they're arranging transportation for vehicles that they do not own and they do not have a specific motor carrier that they are representing, so if they go out and collect a bunch of cars and orders and then find trucking companies for them, that's brokering. So we've beat this dead horse quite a bit, but it's a great question. Yes, they can be leading to some of the problems in the industry with low rates. They'll find just anybody to move it. But really, and you all are going to hate me on this, it's on you, the truck owner, when you have a low rate because you accepted it. You agreed to haul for it. And I understand we have bills to pay. We need to get the truck home. Things are bad right now because there's a lot more supply than there is demand. You look around, dealerships and auction houses are empty. Oh, speaking of fine line, here comes one of their trucks pulling in right next to me right now.
Wow, yeah, I saw that in the background.
I don't know that driver, but I know that particular truck. I delivered it to Derek about a year ago.
Amazing. You drove that truck. Yeah, of course.
Yes, when it was brand new. When I pick them up out of Cottrell, they have anywhere between 27 miles and 978, depending on whether they were hauled to Georgia or they were the mule that pulled 2 more or 3 more piggyback behind it to Georgia. So that distracted me, but
no, I love it. If Ty was there, he'd be like, "Hey, buddy!"
Yes, he'd run over and jump on him. If it was one of the guys I know, I'd go say hi. But I didn't recognize that driver.
Well, that's cool because we got a couple of questions, some follow-ups. We're gonna do the. I just want to say this on the dispatching illegal nonsense. Okay, and I call it nonsense because it is a red herring argument. There's something wrong with the argument. It's not always about the law. It's for example, Sue and I see it all the time, and nobody talks about carriers illegally posting loads on load boards. Now I realize, and I stand up for carriers, but if we're going to quote scripture and verse about the law, then we have to look when we break the law. When you're speeding, when you lie on your taxes, and when as a carrier you're illegally posting loads on load boards, you are the illegal dispatcher.
I exactly, and I saw it just the other day. I want to say Sunday or Monday in one of the several of the Facebook car hauler groups. There was a motor carrier who had surplus work, and he was looking for other motor carriers to do it. And I understand it seems innocent enough. I've got this extra work. I'm going to give it to a buddy with a truck. We're going to cut out the broker and this and that. But unfortunately, interlining is no longer lawful, and it has not been for 10 years or more. I forget exactly when that went out of style. Interlining was very common up until the deregulation era of the mid-'80s, where you'd own the rights to go eastbound on I-40 and another company owned the rights to go westbound, and you'd share work. Since we don't have that anymore, they've taken away our ability as a motor carrier to share work with other motor carriers. I don't believe it's right, but it's the law. And if we are going to point fingers, you're absolutely correct, Jay. We have to be careful, because you point one finger out, you have four pointing back at you. And so if you're going to complain about double brokering, illegal brokering, make sure all your ducks are in a row and you have everything right. And I will say a lot of the carriers I work with do also have broker authority so that they can legally share their surplus work.
And this thing is, I really do think that carriers are in the moral right. But if they're not in the legal right, and we're all going to go around storming the Capitol and yelling, "Let's go, Brandon," yes, I'm saying it. Because the thing is, when we get political and we don't realize the laws we break every day, well, then it's chaos, folks. All right, let's move on. BOC-3, Devin wants to know. Hey, guys, I'm late. Can you ask Brian to speak about filing BOC-3s the first time?
Sure. It's a really simple process that I can do on your behalf for you. BOC-3, you love government acronyms. You know what the BOC-3 stands for? It's the Bureau of Compliance Form Number 3. That's exactly what it stands for. Your BOC-3 is your list of process agents. If you are a motor carrier, you must have a service file this on your behalf. You cannot file it yourself. And basically what it is a list of agents in all 50 states that will receive lawsuit paperwork on your behalf and forward that paperwork on to you. Now, you say filing it for the first time. If you're using a company that does BOC-3s and charges you an annual filing fee, you are getting ripped off. The BOC-3, your process agent designation, is a one and done filing unless you have a name change, an address change, your authority was revoked and you apply for reinstatement, or you're transferring ownership of your authority. Those are the only 4 times you will ever have to file another BOC-3. Name change, address change, reinstatement of authority, or transfer of ownership of your company. So if you don't move, you can have the same BOC-3 for the last 20 years. It doesn't matter. Now, if your agent goes out of business or something, that's a different story. But so if you're being asked to file it annually or more often, you're getting ripped off. And give us a call at YourDOTGuy.com. I do BOC-3 filings for $39. It's a one and done, filed. It's posted same business day or next business day at latest.
I'm putting in here because there's the dispatcher conversation is continuing in the live chat, which I like, because of all of the things that can be argued about, I feel like I got this one covered, because we believe in freedom and entrepreneurship and all this stuff, capitalism, but you can't be a dispatcher. That just makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll argue about that tomorrow on Dispatching Live, where, hey, this is auto transport. You can do whatever you want. Okay, that's a joke we make tomorrow. Okay, so I think we covered... Oh, let's talk about the United Road thing. Yes, I do have an article, and there's a couple news items. We'll move that to next week. We always... No, it's not that one. We always move something to next week. We'll do that. But let's talk about this. United Road. This is in Transport Topics. It's been in several online news media. United Road introduces guaranteed pay benefit for drivers. Do you know much about this story, Brian?
I've seen it from 20,000 foot. The concept is nothing new, and it's become a very popular concept in the general freight world. And I like the idea because, provided you meet certain performance metrics, such as number of days available and not turning loads down, etc., you know how much you're going to make week to week. And if they're doing it right, when you have a good week, you get to keep the surplus. And when you have a bad week, it's not like you have to make it up later. So we were talking about ways to retain your current talent and treat your drivers fairly. Well, it is not the employee driver's problem when your rates all of a sudden change because of a market demand swing. So it's not that driver's problem to say, well, you can't pay your mortgage or your car payment this week because our rates went down 50 cents a mile.
So drivers, it says right here, drivers are guaranteed at least $2,300 biweekly or $60,000 annually if they're in their first year, $2,500, $65,000 if they're tenured. Must be an active employee, accept all assigned work, and work at a minimum of 100 hours during a pay period to qualify. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Now, I think their numbers are a little light, so I would sure hope that on a normal 100-hour pay period, so 50 hours a week, which that's great because they're not even pushing you to the maximum of your hours of service. And as I understand it, United Road wants you to log it perfectly legal, which means while you're pulling and loading, you are on duty, not driving. So it's not like you're going to do 50 or 70 hours of driving and another 30 hours of finding and loading cars. They are on top of stuff like that. I still think the money is a little light, but it is a guarantee. And United Road also takes entry-level drivers, so it's a great way to learn the business and decide if you want to either own your own truck or work for a different carrier that maybe works you a little harder but pays you a little better. So I applaud them for taking some initiative to retain and take care of their current talent.
All right, cool. Awesome. We talked about it. So yes, Ty, it was brought up in the live chat. I found the article. We talked about it. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, look at that. Hey, wait a minute. Chris is ringing the super chat cowbell. Thank you so much, Chris. Really do appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody in the live chat. And for the record, I just want to say this. I think Let's Go Brandon is funny too. It's just that you won't find me. I'll never have a poster of any president on the wall with like abs, fake tan, on a tank with a flag. I don't care. I don't care who the president is. So fine, Let's Go Brandon, whatever. I don't really care. Okay,
the only poster of presidents I want are folded up in my front right pocket.
Yeah, and I really, exactly. That is really well done. Exactly. Those are the presidents I'm looking for. All right, well, we covered it, and we didn't shy away from, listen, if you got something you got to say, you want to get it off your chest, put it in the live chat. Hopefully it pertains to trucking and regulations and whatnot, but as long as, and it's better to say Let's Go Brandon than the,
Yes.
Yeah.
We need auto transport after dark, and you've got to get a studio phone line, and we can just call and chat with these folks because that is downright entertaining.
And maybe that's in the future somewhere, and that would be
yes.
Great. And so, but I do apologize. A guy got muted last night because he said, I don't say Let's Go Brandon, I say the real one, which is, he put it out, and I had to mute him because, man, dude, we had ACV on last night, and ACV gave an amazing presentation. They have a new mobile app, and they had a lot to talk about. So, but I understand the community. Hey, man, this is
I understand it, and it's trucking, but I like to stay family friendly and business appropriate, especially when you have guests on the show. Yeah. We need to. And
what if Michael Michael Bush from UVI, right? He's on trying to tie, and everyone's like, "Let's go, Brandon!" Like, okay, come on, man.
Yes.
Can the guy finish what he was talking about? Would you be at dinner on a date? He's like, do you think we should get the cashew nut chicken? You're like, let's go, Brandon. Okay, that was.
There's a time and place for everything. And as someone who works as a political advocate for several trade associations, I'm as frustrated, if not more frustrated than everybody with the current state of affairs in federal and state government. But we can't let that dominate every conversation. We really can't.
There's a time and a place, but at the same time, listen, if Auto Transport Intel is a place where you feel like you can be yourself, well, all right. That's what it's all about. I want you to be yourself.
I love it.
Yeah, I do love it too. So, Brian, thank you so much for this time. This turned out to be another great show. Love what's happening here on DOT Compliance. Brian and I were talking about that before the show, and excited to see what happens next. So thank you guys so much for participating. Hopefully we answered your questions. I think we got everything. So
sounds good.
All right. So tell us more about the Baltimore Tow Show. What's happening?
All right. It runs from Thursday afternoon through Sunday afternoon at the Baltimore Convention Center. Unfortunately, there is not any large truck parking, but there is the Baltimore TA, which has paid parking, but it's secured parking, and it's a quick Uber ride up, or you can find some other places to park. But there is no on-site parking for large vehicles. Free admission if you pre-register, $5 on site. If you want to take the seminars, there is an additional fee for that. I'll be there all week. There will be several hundred vendors for the towing industry, which includes parts and straps and stuff that we'll use in car hauling. IATA will be there. It'll be a great time. There's a lot of free food. Miller Industries, who makes a lot of towing equipment and used to make a high mount car hauler, they rent out the entire Hard Rock Cafe on Friday night and have a free bull and pig roast. And it's just a grand old time with live bands and everything else. So if you want something to do and you're close to the Baltimore area, come on down next Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, there it is. I put the live chat. Yeah, that's good to know. I'm glad we have enough time. If you're anywhere near there, next weekend, right?
Yes, next weekend. And we're going to try to squeeze in live from the show floor on Cars on the Move on Friday. And if everything goes well and Jay's available and it all fits together, and I won't know till I get there on Wednesday, we're going to try to do my show live Wednesday as well as they're setting up the show floor.
Perfect. That'd be fantastic. So, all right. So Wednesday the 10th, we'll be live in the pre-show setup. Hopefully, that's the plan. Should work out.
Friday the 12th.
I think they have the internet in most places now.
Well, Baltimore, there's an interesting tidbit here. The Baltimore Convention Center's internet provider, who manages their interior networks, because the convention center is underground, so they have to have repeaters for all the cell phones and everything. They were fined by the FCC years ago for deliberately blocking the data side of the cell phone signal. So you had to purchase their Wi-Fi plan on the show floor as a vendor, and so the attendees could not use their phone to compare prices and stuff like that as they're looking at the different stuff. And this wasn't our show management. Let me take that back. The magazine that I'm affiliated with, American Towman, that I write for, this was not us. This was the third-party company that managed data on behalf of the Baltimore Convention Center, and they were fined and punished for this. So I say it half jokingly if I can get a signal, but you are underground in Baltimore, right next to the Orioles Stadium, and so the signal is spotty at best. But we'll see what we can do.
You know, and you just reminded me that actually I was at a show and I had something like that too, and I had to pay, and I thought, what is going on? But yes, but it happens. Hey, it's America. So,
capitalism, right? Baby, capitalism.
You gotta love it. Really, and we do love it, even when we're underlining. And by the way, that underlining stuff, interlining. It's not underlining.
Interlining
is the that used to allow you as a carrier to just have somebody else finish the delivery of a load that you had. Is that right?
Correct. It allowed another authorized motor carrier to deliver that load on your bill of lading, and it basically allowed you to broker your freight directly to other trucking companies, and you didn't even have to disclose it to your customer. So it was a very simple transaction.
And that went away with
That went away sometime with or shortly after deregulation in the 80s, where we stopped making you prove that there was a need to add another trucking company and then telling you which freight lanes you were allowed to run.
Oh, speaking of Chris Chamberlain, he keeps asking about Baltimore. Yeah, he's up in that area. Chris, so I won't be there, but Brian will be. But maybe if you're able to say hello on Friday the 12th around noon, maybe we can catch you on the live stream somehow or something. But I'll tell you what,
it'll be very on the fly. Because I'm there as part of the magazine staff as well, because I write for American Towman Media, both their online and their in-print publication. So, but we'll make it happen.
And it is very. I've had people like when I was live in Virginia, somebody's like, "Hey, I'm in Virginia," and that stuff is really hard to coordinate because man, when I went live. I was a few minutes late and I had no preparation because that's what it's like trying to do media on the road. But Chris,
I know.
there is Brian's email address. Feel free to send him an email and say hello and see if you can connect. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
I would love that. So, all right, cool. I'm glad we talked about the show. We got something to look forward to. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brian, so much for taking this time with us today.
You're welcome, Jay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See you again, same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, and
next week.
Join us next week, and also be sure to join us tomorrow for Dispatching Live, where we talk to Sue, and we'll get into that. Our dispatchers' illegal stuff. We'll continue that conversation. See you soon, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, take care. Bye-bye.